The Allegheny Journal is at Boys Home on this beautiful Thursday, and we're with Paul Radford of Trinity Episcopal Church from Portsmouth, and he's here with Cameron, his co-worker, and they're doing a bunch of upgrading here at Boys Home. And Paul, this is what, your fifth or sixth year of coming to Boys Home?
Fifth year.
And what brought you to Boys Home?
Well, the church used to come here years ago, and for some reason, I guess because of people's age and all, they kind of stopped. And 5 years ago, a new younger priest that came got us back into Boys Home and working, and I fell in love with it.
As have many of us. And this year's project looks like some extensive fencing work. What were some of the other projects?
Well, the real project is right down the road at the old cemetery. See, we tore down all the chain link fence and all that and cleaned up the cemetery, and it's all back now in cedar.
You probably weren't aware that there is an old cemetery on the Boys Home property.
Probably not. As long as I've been here, I didn't know it. And the first year I was here, I ran fence right down there beside it and never knew it was there. It's just so grown over. So. And you did some fence work, and maybe we'll come down and do some. Yeah, you need to take a picture of that because that's beautiful, and that's really that was really the main stay project for this year, and then we just do whatever afterwards. But whatever they got, anything we can do while we're here, we do it.
And Cameron, you've been in on a couple of these ventures, or
is this your first time?
Okay. And somehow you were recruited, let's go up and do some fences in Covington, Virginia, huh?
Yeah.
Mr. Radford, is this something that you just do uniquely for Boys Home, or do you have other places that you enjoy doing upgrading?
I do a little patchwork here and there when they got something at church, but for the most part, no, Boys Home is my venture.
And what's your background?
I worked on the waterfront around Norfolk and Portsmouth for actually 48 years.
Wow, and somehow you must have come into the recognition or met Donnie Wheatley here at Boys Home.
Yes. The first year we came up, I met Donnie, and just a great guy, and I really liked Donnie a lot, and his wife. And I realized that Bonnie doesn't get quite the help down here, if you will, that some of the other places get, because the young boys just don't know about this kind of work. So it's the people that are here until Lewis came, the people that are here didn't really have the time or whatever, not really the time, but they had all their own stuff to take care of with the young boys. Primarily, I come with 5 or 6 guys, and we do work on the farm, which is what we like to do to help them down here, because they need the help.
So another part of the crew's elsewhere.
Yeah, they're up top of the hill.
Okay.
So we had one fellow that needed to go home early, and so he left Wednesday. So, and at the end of the day today, it's actually in just a little while, it's knockoff time. We're going to play this afternoon, and then we'll go home tomorrow. So
it's been a couple-day project.
Yeah, we've been here since we came Sunday evening. We left after church at home and came Sunday afternoon, and then so we've worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and today.
Great.
So
we'll see if we can't get some footage of that nice work down at the cemetery.
Oh, you really need to see
cleaned
that.
Up so well.
Matter of fact, Luke, if he's got his camera, could probably show you a picture, give you an idea of what it is.
And whatever Mr. Wheatley asks for, Mr. Wheatley gets, from me anyway.
Usually that's usually the case.
So, because he felt it was important to recognize the fact that all the materials that we use down on the cemetery are all reclaimed materials. We have a generous donor. One of our board members, Jim Scott, works for an electric company that donates us power poles. They go all up and down the East Coast replacing poles, and the old poles, when we have a need, they bring us some. And we have a sawmill on campus. All that material, all the posts, all the rails, everything was milled at our sawmill, so the only materials cost for that project was the hardware, the nails, the screws, and the hinges for the gate. Everything else is reclaimed materials.
And did we see some of your masonry work in mid-campus? We want to get a little bit of footage of that too, but that's an exceptional piece of work.
I came here a year and a half ago, and they hired me to do special projects, and basically anything that falls outside of the realm of what the normal maintenance department would do would come to me. So when they had a special project for the memorial wall and the structure that went over that fell to me because of my background and experience. And we also, one of the first projects I did, and I was stacking stones in the snow. The first March that I was here, we built an altar and a cross up on the mountain so that our new chaplain, Pastor Ann Grizzle, could have Easter sunrise service up there. So these projects that come up like this are special outside of what maintenance would normally do, and that's what my job at Boys Home is. So I couldn't do these things without these mission-minded people that are willing to come and take their time and take the things that we have planned and collected and make them a reality. So we just love having them. They're a great blessing to us.
Well, Paul, we know that you're on the final hours of your visit here, and I assume that the reception you've gotten has been good, and Gary Price has been feeding you.
It's always wonderful here.
Amazing.
It's always wonderful here. Food's great. The people are great, and you know, I've come enough now that they know me when I get here. So, but everybody's just fantastic here. Very accommodating, just a wonderful place.
How did the work go this week, guys?
Great. Oh, it went great. Yeah. Quite well.
And so you fellas on the left were working on a garden area, as I understand it?
Yes.
Yeah.
What all needed to be done?
We were putting together some raised beds, assembling them, and fastening them all together.
Okay. And then we just examined some beautiful cemetery work that Paul had done.
No. We all had done.
Oh, okay.
Not Paul had done.
Well, there's that pesky press getting it wrong again.
There you go.
But this is, each one of you have spent a couple of years coming up to Boys Home, and it's just something you decided to do as a group, huh? A mission trip, in effect.
Yes.
Yeah. Do something for the kids up here.
And were some of you guys carpenters or anything in an earlier life?
No, professional.
No.
Management.
Okay, management guys like to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had a pleasant trip to Boys Home this afternoon, May 23rd, 2019, and we were there meeting some fellows on a mission from Trinity Episcopal Church from Portsmouth, Virginia. And they were at Boys Home working with this fellow who's next to me, Donnie Wheatley, the executive director of Boys Home. So we weren't able to catch Donnie. He was busy doing something else, but he very nicely came to the studio to talk about what went on today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So you really had an interesting mission trip today.
Definitely. Yep.
And what went on? I mean, how did you get this ball rolling?
Well, it started out, I go to church conventions associated with the Episcopal Church, and I do that to let people know about Boys Home. And I met the rector, Father Charles Smith of Trinity Portsmouth, while I was down there. And in that process of meeting him, I got a chance to do a presentation at Trinity, and that just kept rolling and rolling until we talked about a mission trip. He wanted to get his church started in mission work. And so he decided to promote it and get a group to Boys Home. And we started out with a mixed group.
And you had 5 today.
Yes, and this group included teenagers, some mothers of those teenagers, some fathers, and the rector himself. And that just, so when they come, what we do is we try to be sure that the projects that are set up for them fit the skill group of the people coming. Okay. So this, when it first started, we had a wide-ranging group. of projects that we would offer to them, so that it kept all of them interested and involved with what went on in the boys' home. We also try to involve the residents with the group so that they can see that, you know, this is something that maybe they'll do after they leave us. And that evolved into a very dedicated group who have a lot of skills. And so we began to do projects that aren't essential to what we're doing, but would add to the place, like the rebuild of the cemetery.
That's really, truly beautiful.
Yes.
Nice.
It is, but must be a friend. Anybody riding on 60 will be able to see it as soon as we cut the hay. But this group brings so many skills to them, we can find projects for them to do that we don't have time to do and or don't have skills to do. And they go right to work. It's been enhanced by a gentleman that started out on a mission group to Boys Home, who retired from his job and decided he wanted to work at Boys Home. And so he's our project manager now. And he's a skilled tradesman himself. He was in the CBs, retired out of CBs. And so he kind of gets these jobs started and gets them ready, and these guys come in, they just roll.
I think we were talking to him this afternoon, and what was interesting while we were doing the video, he was talking and a horse was going to nudge him. That was pretty good. Well, it was a very interesting afternoon, and what did you get done this week? A cemetery project, some fencing,
Yep.
and I believe there was work on a pretty neat garden?
Yes, we've had a garden named by the kids who helped us set it up, because we scavenged everything we could find that would contain dirt and put it inside the tennis courts when we're no longer using the tennis courts. And the kids named it the Ghetto Garden. And we've continued to do raised beds in there and using all kinds of recycled material and everything else. And most of the projects these guys do is really out of recycled products, such as utility poles that we have a one-man sawmill that we use to cut the lumber for these different projects they do. And so Bonnie, my wife Bonnie, who runs whose ghetto garden it belongs to.
Chief of the ghetto garden. Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
And so she is still gathering stuff, and there were some raised beds that we had put together were coming apart, and they jumped in there and did that. They put boards on our new trades building, skirts on our new trades building, so that we can go ahead and backfill and move on with that project. So who knows what they did this afternoon. They just jump right in and do anything we have available for them.
Well, there's lots of good things going on at Boys Home, and we very much appreciate getting the director to stop by the Journal and say, hey, this is just a part of a continuing effort to always improve the facility. And we thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.